Yo, what is cool, y'all? In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how you can create this crazy lightning strike effect inside of After Effects. I'll be breaking it down step by step because we'll be going through a lot of steps in this tutorial. So make sure to follow along and let's get right into it. But real quick before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that I'm lurkingvisuals and I run this creative store where we got presets and assets that are aimed to help video editors just like you transform your edits and edit a lot faster. So if you're looking to instantly elevate your visuals, make sure to check the first link in the description, but let's get right into it. So I'm in After Effects right now and I got this new Lil Yachty and V's music video, and I got a pretty clean clip right here of V's performing. And we got the windows up here. So what I'll do is get the lightning to strike like through the windows and make it look like it hits on the wall, and then the text will appear with some smoke. The first thing that I'll start off by doing is grabbing an unsharp mask effect and smack it onto my layer. And then I'll turn up the amount to like 200 and the radius to 8. Now you can tell our footage looks like this. And this is just so we can 3D camera track our scene. And now I'll select my layer and pre-compose it and move all attributes into the new composition. Now that we've done that, I'll open up the tracker tab right here. And if you can't find your tracker tab, just open up window and press tracker down here. And then I'll select track camera and open up advanced and select detail analysis. Now I'm gonna let it load for a couple of seconds, and when that's done, we should have a tracked scene. And so now, as you can tell, we got these camera tracker points right here. And to be honest, since my scene is a static shot, I didn't really need to do this. It was mainly because of this tutorial. But I'll select one of these tracker points and create a solid and a camera. And now that I've done that, you can see that our solid is way too small. So what I'll do right now is go to the project tab right here. And when we got our project tab up here, we just need to select our solid and pre-compose it and select leave all attributes in the composition. And when we've done that, you can see that we got this track solid composition right here. And right now it's really small, like it's 20 pixels by 20 pixels. So I'll change it to HD format. And now you can see the composition is a lot bigger. So what I'll do is just go into the pre-comp, remove this solid, and then I'll add in my text instead. And I'll just put the artist name, V's, right? This is not how big it's going to be when we go out of the pre-comp. Maybe like this. And we'll add all of the effects on later, so we'll just keep it as it is. Just select your color, that's basically it. And I'm just going with a basic Arial font, and I made it a lot thicker by adding a stroke. It's the same color. So now it looks like this, and I'll size it down a little bit. Like that maybe, and move it right here. So now if you follow my steps correctly, your text should just be stuck to your wall if your camera is moving. But since my camera isn't moving, it didn't do any difference. But now that we got that in place, I'll add on the lightning overlays. And I grabbed these from footagecrate, where you can grab like 5 overlays for completely free every single day. I'll leave the link in the description, but here I got the lightning overlay. It comes in like that. So I'll just rotate it a little bit like this, so it can look like it's coming like through the window. And I'll also speed this overlay up, and it starts like right here. So I'll cut it right there and then move it back. So you can see it comes in through the window right there, and then just onto the scene. Just the overlay and the text. And I'll move my text layer so it comes in like when the lightning strike hits the wall right here, just like that. And then we'll have some flashes and shit at the same time. Oh, and we can open up the pre-comp as well and remove this unsharp mask. We don't need it anymore. Now what I'll do is duplicate this pre-comp and move it on top of the lightning strike and remove the camera tracker. And then we can grab this rotor brush tool, and I'll start masking out these borders from the windows, just so I can have the lightning strike come through the window. So as you can see right now, it looks like it's coming right through the window. But I want to make my windows a little bit smoother with the mask, so I'll add on a refine soft matte effect, and then we can turn down the additional edge radius and turn up the feather a little bit, just something like this. So now you can see we got the borders on top of the lightning strike, and now we'll be adding on some effects. So let's start off with the effect to the lightning strike, and I'll start off with a deep glow. So now you can see it's just a lot thicker, just looks a lot better. But I'll drag down the exposure a little bit, and I'll add on a curve as well onto this lightning strike, and I'll just create an S curve like that. So this is the before and after with the curve. We can put it on top of the deep glow if we want to. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but I'll go with that. And I'll also add on the deep glow to our text layer, as well as a drop shadow to that one. And I'll have the drop shadow underneath because the light comes from the windows. So it just makes sense to have the shadow underneath because that's how shadows work. And you can see we got our subject here and he's behind the text, and that's something that I want to avoid because I want to have the text on the wall, or at least make it look like it's on the wall. So we can duplicate this layer once again and remove all of the effects. And this time we'll mask out our subject. So we'll grab the rotor brush tool once again and just start masking him out. It doesn't have to be too perfect since it's just his hand mainly that goes over the text. So I can just keep it like this, but go through it frame by frame to make sure that it looks good. So now we got our subject masked out as well. Just make sure that your subject is on top of all of the other layers. But now as you can see, same problem like we had last time. The mask is a little rough, so we can just select the refine soft matte from the other mask, copy it and paste it onto this layer. Now you can tell it looks a lot better. We got a smoother mask right here. We can tweak the settings a little bit to something like that. We'll add some effects on to make it look a little bit better. But we're not done with the effects on the text. I feel like I can turn up the exposure for the deep glow as well as the radius. And we can add on a flicker to the text, because when we add the flash on, it will look a lot better with a flicker. And I'll add a flicker from Sapphire. If you don't have Sapphire, you can use a strobe light effect, but you're gonna have to tweak the settings a lot with the strobe light effect. So, and what we got right now looks like this. You can tell that we're well on our way, but it's still missing a lot of pieces. So I'll add on an adjustment layer by right clicking and go to new and create a new adjustment layer. And to this adjustment layer, I'll add on the exposure effect as well as a curve. And you might have guessed that we're going to add on these flashes right now. You gotta time the flashes with the lightning strikes. You can tell right here, the lightning strike is bright. Right here it's dark. Right here it's bright once again. So I'll try to time it with that. So I'll add on the exposure, turn it up right here, just a little bit for the first flash, keyframe it, and then go like 2 frames before, turn it down to 0, and then 1 frame, 2 frames after, turn it down to 0. Not 2 frames after, like this. And then here it goes bright once again, so I'll turn up the exposure because the text comes in right here, so we want to time it well. So when the text comes in, we can have a lot of flash, so I'll turn it up to like something like this. We can also drag the adjustment layer on top of these layers as well, so it affects everything. And right here you can tell the lightning goes away basically, so we'll turn down the exposure. And then it comes back here, so we'll turn the exposure up, but not as much. You can tell the deep glow is very bright, so I'll turn it down later. And right here it's bright as fuck, so we can turn the exposure up right here. And then turn it down a little bit for this scene, and then turn it up because it hits and then goes away, just like that. And then a tiny hit right here, not too much, like 1, and then it goes away completely. So I'll keep something like this. You can tell it looks a little bit more realistic. And we gotta turn down the deep glow on here as well, because the radius is really high. I'll keep it at 200, but here I feel like I can turn it up a little bit, as well as here. And we'll add on a shake or something as well when this comes in. And I'll also add on a dust smoke overlay, also from footagecrate, and I'll also leave a link to the description. If I forget it, remind me in the comments and I'll leave it linked. But here I got the dust overlay, and I'll make it hit when the lightning strike hits, just like that. And I feel like it has to be a little bit bigger, something like this. So now we got this going on, and we'll also mess with the curve because I haven't done that yet. So when the lightning strike hits, like right here, for example, keyframe the curve and then go to the hit, and let's turn up the curve. But we don't want to use this curve because this is just the exposure once again. So why I use the curve is because I can mess with the colors. And since the lightning strike is blue, I want to have a lot of blue in here. So we can turn up the blue, and you can basically do anything with this. You can create some crazy stuff, but I'll try to keep it simple and then go back here when the exposure goes away, and we'll turn down the curve just like that. So we'll have these blue flashes instead of these just basic ones. That not too much because you don't want it to be like too unrealistic. And then just go away once again, and then right here go up again a little bit like that. Now that we got this, Obviously, feel free to mess with anything. You don't need to follow all of my instructions. You can add other effects on, but I'll add on a new adjustment layer. And to this adjustment layer, I'll add on a chromatic aberration from universe. These settings are very high, so I'll turn down the distortion to like just something subtle, and mess with the blur amount and the radial blur as well, because we just want something subtle. Something like this maybe, just to spice it up. And then we can open up the lens textures tab. And right here we got all of these crazy ones. We got the dirt, we got the frozen, just a lot of stuff to mess with. You can mess with the texture amount if you want more of this, and the mask radius, basically everything. I think I want to go for like water drops, because that makes sense with the lightning. Now you can see it looks like this. That looks good in my opinion. I love this. And I also want to add on a new adjustment layer with some more effects, like a slight zoom out will look good on this scene. So I'll just search up transform, and then we can start the scale on like 109, something like this. Oh, make sure to have your adjustment layer on top of all of the other layers, and then keyframe the scale, go to the last frame of your scene and just turn back to 100. So it's just a slight zoom out, nothing special. And we can add on a shake as well if you want to have it right when the lightning strikes. This just depends on what you prefer, but I'll duplicate this adjustment layer, remove all of the effects. And right here when the lightning strikes, I'll cut the adjustment layer so it starts right there. And I'll add on a subtle shake too from my ultimate shake pack. And if you watch my tutorials frequently, you know that this is one of my favorite shakes, because it's just a simple vertical shake. It's really useful and it fits with basically every single scene. Like the fact that I just tried it on and it looks like this. It's crazy. Yeah, this one is sick. But I can remove the flicker actually, because we already have a lot of lights in this scene. But this is my final result. Of course, you can add on some more effects like a drop shadow to your subject to make it look like he's really on top of the text, and like some blur when the lightning strike hits. But this is basically it. Feel free to go crazy and add like a lot of more effects on. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow my Instagram. I'll have a link in the description. I drop a lot of sauce on there as well. And check out the full ultimate shake pack to elevate your visuals instantly. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.